Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Gracious and I am a first year law and politics student at the University of Cardiff. And today I will be reading you guys my personal statement as well as giving you tips and tricks on how to write your own. And before you ask why I think I am qualified enough to give you this advice, I did apply to Cardiff, Oxford, Edinburgh, Glasgow and Dundee, and I got into all except for Oxford for law and a joint honours program, either French or politics. So I think I have a bit of experience on how to write one, and as I read through mine, I'll also give you tips and tricks of things which I wish I did differently, which could potentially just help you as well. And if you have any questions, don't be afraid to drop them down below or DM me on Instagram at Grimsbrew, and I will happily give you advice. But now the first tip I would give you is to make sure when you are starting your essay, please, I beg you, please do not say I am passionate about or no, stop, please, I will hold your hand as I say this. That is the most basic and cliche answer which you can give that will make whoever is reading your personal statement just cringe, because obviously if you are applying for this degree at this university, you have some kind of passion which you're going off of. So they know they have the passion. What they want to know is why you have the passion, where it began, and what you're going to do with that passion. That's what they want to know. Now, for your introduction, I would start off by talking about the subject which I'm interested in and why I'm interested in it. And by doing so, you're giving the university and whoever is reading your personal statement a reason as to why they should choose you for the university and why you are the best possible candidate which they can nurture and build for this particular program. So once you've done that main introduction and you've talked about why you and why you want to do that subject in a few lines, you're going to go into your main body when you're going to talk about a relevant extracurricular activity, and then you're going to talk about your perspective on that activity. And here is where it gets tricky, guys. When you are talking about what you have done, number one, if I'm talking about a club which I've been in or a club which I've started, you have to link it to the subject at hand which you're going to do. Even if it had no relevance whatsoever to each other, you are going to go and think about what it has taught you and how you can tie it into what you want to do and talk about what you've learned and the perspective from it. So if you have done a summer school, if you have even read a book or journal article, or if you have gone and done an internship, you're going to talk about that internship, what you've learned, and then you're going to talk about your perspective that you have gained from there, and then tie it back to the degree that you want to do. And that way they can see that, number one, you can critically think for yourself, and number two, they can see that you've really taken time and effort to think about this personal statement and to think about why you're actually passionate about this subject. And it further shows them that you really do want to do the subject and you're not just doing it just to apply for the sake of applying. Now, as you're getting to your third paragraph, this one needs to be short and concise, where you're going to be talking about everything else. So this is either your hobbies or your skills that are outside academia. And in this part of it, you need to briefly highlight the skills of the hobbies and other interests, because again, your personal statement is supposed to be 80% academic. So that's journal articles, your subjects, clubs you've done, internships, summer schools, everything academically involved needs to be 80% of your personal statement. And then the 20% is a sport you have done, or what you like doing in your free time, or if you have a YouTube channel, if you do content creation, that comes in the 20%, so they can see that outside of academia you're also someone who is a well-rounded person, but not too much though, because you can also focus on your own things whilst doing your degree. Now, I always advise against using ChatGPT or any kind of AI to write your personal statement. However, you can use it to enhance what you already have. So, for example, in my school, they made us write a list of everything we have ever achieved, academically or club-wise, and write a list about it as if it's like a CV, and from then build on each thing what you have learned and what skills you have built. Now, when you've made that list of every single extracurricular activity you have done, whether it's small or big, and it doesn't even tie into your degree that you're going to apply to, it doesn't matter, just put it there. So whether it's debate, you're going to write, okay, debate, I won this in year 11, and then you're going to say what I learned today was communication skills, I learned public speaking skills. And even if you're going to apply for something like history or ancient archaeology, that's going to be important, because when you're going to decide to deliver speeches or you're going to speak in front of your class, you need to know how to do that. So you're going to write each skill, and then the more you describe each skill of every activity that you've done, you realize you're already building your personal statement brick by brick. And what you're going to do is you're going to pick the most important ones to you that you think have the most impact, and that's what you're going to build your personal statement from. Now, once you have done your own draft, then you can put it into AI and ask it to basically revamp the wording for you, for it to sound more academic, but not too many fancy words, to the point where the person who is reading a personal statement can tell that this person did not write it, they just use AI. You also need to make it realistic, as human as possible, and also make it your own words still. Let it help you, but don't let it redefine your whole personal statement to the point where it's no longer a personal statement. Now, before I read you my personal statement, I do need to preface that if you copy what I've written in any shape or form, you will be disqualified, because again, UCAS has a copy of every single personal statement that has been submitted, and they will know if you have plagiarized. So I will not be putting it on the screen, but I will read it to you, and if you decide you want to read mine more in depth, you can message me and then we can figure something out, or I can read yours and then just let you know what I think. But that doesn't mean you should take everything I say at face value. Just saying. Hi guys, Future Grace here. I decided actually not to share the first two paragraphs because, number one, they were personal and my opinions were very, very, very controversial. I just decided not to have that online. However, you can still hear the feedback which I have given in terms of what I think I did well and what I think I didn't do well. This has created a deep desire for me to contribute and join the growing number of Zimbabweans who are fighting injustice daily. As a lawyer, I will be equipped to join the fight to advocate for a more just society. Okay, so when I read back to this, I realized I was going into too many details about the whole prison thing, and when I brought in like the World Prison Brief 2022, I feel like I was doing just a bit much, and I think I could have used that paragraph to talk about another extracurricular, and I didn't. But it's okay. I mean, I still got in at the end of the day, but I would suggest you don't focus too much on the reason why you want to study law, and more focus on what you're doing to build up to you studying law. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I think I could have done without that second paragraph. I think ending it at "this was a miscarriage of justice" would have been just fine. Reading Beloved and Huckleberry Finn in my A-level literature course challenged me to delve deeper to understand how and why societal views of right or wrong are subjective. I wrote an essay for an online law course at Oxford Scholastica Academy that used the instances of R.V. Dudley and Stevens and apartheid in South Africa to discuss whether being ethical always entails abiding by the law. Through this course, I learned how to create and convey logical arguments, and specifically how to balance the concept of law and morality. In 2023, I competed in the African Mooting competition hosted by a UK university as a junior appellant. My debating skills were further refined through participation in World Scholars Cup, an academic tournament in which I took part in the global rounds held in South Korea. I subsequently qualified for the final tournament of champions to be held at Yale University. I think the way that I incorporated my A-level literature was really good, in my personal opinion, considering I wrote this. But I think trying to tie in what I was reading at the time with how it can help me in terms of law, I think I did pretty good in tying in the societal views that I was reading in Huckleberry Finn on the idea of what's right and what's wrong depending on the society at the time. I think really bringing it into the concept of law and morality was smart. I did realize that I did not mention which UK university hosted the mooting competition, but that's also because my teacher told me sometimes you don't need to really specify which universities you've collaborated with, because it could kind of hint to other universities which you're applying to that, oh, the one which I'm talking about right now is one which I'm applying to, and it might reduce your chances. But I am not sure how accurate that is, but I just didn't want to risk anything, so that's why I also didn't mention that. I don't think me mentioning this specific case had any impact, but I'd like to think it did. However, I didn't go into detail as to why the case was impactful to me, so I feel like I just kind of threw it in there, and I don't think it really strengthened my argument that much. But well, I have been exposed to opportunities that have increased my passion for law. I was hired as the youngest intern for Women and Law in Southern Africa in 2022 and Amnesty International Zimbabwe in 2023. And I learned how some NGOs use advocacy and activism to encourage the government to develop good laws that promote human rights. I saw how the law can be used in many ways, providing further clarity about the career options that a law degree would give me. Community engagement and the participatory approach to develop is something that I learned in my school's Year 12 service community project at Ole Nkotila School in Kajiado, Kenya. I led a group of my schoolmates in the successful refurbishment of classrooms. It was a humbling experience to interact with the less fortunate students whose realities differed to mine. I was particularly drawn to the hardships that the Maasai women go through daily and how negative culture practices such as female genital mutilation negatively impact their lives. I reflected on this experience and realized that norms and laws are important and needed to deal with such societal challenges. Ultimately, law can be an effective tool to challenge these practices. Moreover, being a school prefect, boarding prefect, and a baraza leader for the International Round Square Conference hosted at my school, Brickhouse, has allowed me to strengthen my leadership, communication skills, and have global perspectives. Beyond my passion for my studies and the law, I have also other interests such as reading and rowing. I was a member of the Rowing Association of Zimbabwe's Junior Development Squad. The rowing team allowed me to benefit from mentorship and coaching whilst not only improving my rowing technique, strength, and performance. I learned about resilience, communication, teamwork, and patience, all of which I am sure will benefit me immensely in the rigors of law school studies. Now, I feel like I could have mentioned more why being a prefect was important here, but I didn't. And me being a baraza for the Round Square Conference, I think that was a huge part of my journey in year 13, but I didn't seem to really accentuate why. I think I could have done way better in doing that, and maybe kind of not mentioning, okay, I could have still mentioned the rowing, but I'm thinking because I don't actually do rowing anymore, or it didn't really have like a direct like tie towards like why I wanted to do law, then I could have kind of maybe delved in way more into my role as a baraza leader during the Round Square Conference, how many delegates we had, like, you know, I don't know. Anyway, studying French alongside law will help me not only with an improved understanding of Francophone culture and networking possibilities, but deeper learning of the complexities of language competence, interpretation, and translation, which will provide me with a competitive edge in the legal practice. I believe my studies will allow me to serve my society and country at large. I don't know about you guys, but at no point during this personal statement did I even mention French, and suddenly I did it at the end. Don't be like me. If you are gonna do a joint honors degree where it's law and something, or you're gonna do politics and something, or you're gonna do whatever you're choosing to do, make sure you adequately describe or explain why you also want to do that second part of the degree. I had nothing to do with French here until the end. No wonder I didn't get into Oxford. You know what I mean? Like, I was not actually demonstrating why I wanted to study French. And in hindsight, I guess I really didn't want to, because now I do law and politics instead of law and French. But anyway, I hope that this has given you guys some insight as to how I wrote my personal statement and what you can do to make yours better. I think the key takeaways from this, which I'd like to give you, is number one, make sure you have a good structure. Make sure that you have your three bodies: your introduction, your main body, and your conclusion. Make sure that your personal statement is 80-20, 80% academic, and make sure, oh my goodness, I did not even have a book listed here. I mean, other than my A-level books, which I have, I do not even show any like outside academic reading, which I've done for law, because I didn't do any. If you are going to do something that is very like academia, whether that's law or if it's like literature, make sure that the books which you put down have nothing to do with what you've been studying in school right now. I didn't do that, and I wish I did. So make sure you list either a book, a journal article. I would kind of I would say don't put quotes. My careers teacher also told me don't really put quotes from other people unless you have a way of embedding it so well that it sounds so good. I would suggest you don't do that. But yes, please guys, please read outside of your outside of the books that you're doing at school, so that it just looks more professional. It just looks like you know what you're doing. It also just looks like you're more interested in the subject. I did not do that at all. Make sure you don't spend too much time on the personal aspect, but more so on the academic aspect. And then make sure that you also talk adequately about both sides of why you want to study whatever it is, be it a joint program or a single honors program. But yes, thank you for watching this, and I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, let me know. And if you guys want a video on advice I would give year 13s or just like sixth form advice in general, I can do that as well, just to let you know how I went from someone who barely did anything in year 11 and form 4 to someone who became a prefect, someone who was doing debate, someone who was doing acting. Just if you want to know how I got that drive and how I did everything I did in a year and a half, I can do that. Just let me know. But thank you for watching. Yeah.